Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Again, I apologize that I'm not using my super duper fancy Shure mic, right? I'm still getting settled in here in Miami Beach. I haven't closed escrow on my house yet, haven't opened up my computer, but I welcome you back to another episode. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. And before we start, as always, shout out to Team BC. They sponsor this podcast. My team is nationwide now. If you're interested in learning about EXP, contact me, EXP Realty. If you're interested in about possibly joining my team, go to jointeambc.com. Check out that opportunity. Schedule a call with your regional leader if you're interested. And huge shout out to Modern Success. That's my crew, my extended family, all the teachings, all the wizardry, and all the special stuff that I've never shared anywhere else. That's who I share it with. It's in Modern Success, and you'll have access to me and teachings that you're not going to find anywhere else, and stuff that I'll never share on YouTube and other platforms for free. Okay, so let's begin. I thought today would be a good time to discuss doing something new, right? Starting over, starting from scratch, starting fresh, because this is applicable to people, at different levels. Like me, I just moved literally across the country. I'm in a new environment. I'm in a new city. I'm in a new state. Now, obviously, in my position myself, I'm not necessarily like starting over where I have nothing and I don't have any money, any connections, or those kind of things. However, I am, in a sense, starting over in a different respect. So I think that this episode specifically is going to be applicable to people on both ends of the spectrum. Meaning you're somebody who's in my shoes, or you're somebody who's just starting a new career, a new venture, and you're doing something brand new, and you're starting from the bottom and you're building up. And it could be at any level. It could be on a social level, it could be on a professional level, or anything in between, right? Financial level. So let's begin. And there's a lot of little simple stuff that I want to cover today, and I may end up actually doing this as like a series, because I know this is a very frequent question that I get, right? From newbies, veterans, and everybody in between, right? So here's the first thing, and I'm speaking directly from the context of what I'm doing, right? And what I would recommend somebody else to do. So me, as an example, right? I'm in a new location. I don't know anybody here, right? And one of the first things you need to do as an individual when you do anything new, right? Particularly my position, but any position, is you have to mingle with a lot of people and start putting yourself in the position socially to open the doors that you want to open. Okay. When you go to a new place or you start something new in that arena, whether you physically move somewhere to a new city or state, or you have like a new job, a new career, you're new in that space. Nobody knows you. You have no reputation that precedes you, right? I'm speaking to the person who's new, right? Someone like me, or somebody who's brand new getting into some sort of career. Leading up to it, there's nothing there. So you are this big question mark when you show up. Now, the beauty in that, a lot of people look at that negatively, saying, oh, I have to, build myself up, and this sucks, and I have to start from the bottom. I see it as incredible. Now I have the opportunity to, in quotes, reintroduce myself to a new city, a new state, a new group of people, right? A new profession. It's incredible. You literally hold at your fingertips the opportunity of a lifetime to do whatever it is that you want. And you can, again, build your brand, build your reputation, however you want. That's the beauty of it. So I look at that as like a blank canvas, and now I can paint it, draw it, and do whatever the hell I want, really. And I can get really creative. I can catapult myself quickly, right? You have nothing restraining you. Like, as an example, right? There's something relatable to people. Prior to me doing business, I was an athlete. So where I was living in Southern California, everybody knew me as a fucking athlete. Right? So when I transitioned into the business world, it was very difficult for people to see me in that light. They're like, oh, well, I thought you played basketball. Well, now you're doing this. I was just an athlete to them. And any bit of like intelligence, any bit of business savvy, anything to do with real estate, for a lot of people was like cognitive dissonance or unacceptable, or just, it was very difficult for them to start changing it. Why? Because a reputation and brand of me had already been established. So now to change that and reinvent it, can it be done? Of course. But the simpler route is the one that we just spoke about, which is new place, new career, right? New city. Nobody knows you. You show up, boom, you can be whatever you want to be. You can literally climb to the top very quickly, actually. So, in respect to this, I brought up the word social. I have been here a week and a half, right? I met a ton of people, and I'm already positioning myself at the right places with the right people. And I'll continue to do that forever. But again, nobody knows me here. So I'm like a kid on a playground. This is fucking incredible. Because in my mind, I'm like, these motherfuckers have no idea what's about to hit them. Like, they really don't. And I literally am bubbling with excitement because of this. Now, a lot of people in my position, because if we're going to directly reference like moving to a new city and state, would be, and I get messages from people, they would be scared. They would be hesitant to do things. They would feel alone. And all these things would be negative. But to me, it's fucking incredible, dude. It's incredible. I look at this as a great opportunity to show the world what I can do, but at the same time, back up a lot of these principles. Because a lot of this stuff, even on paper, is extremely simple. However, there is the action step and the implementation that somebody has to go through. It's very easy for somebody to listen to this and say, well, oh yeah, cool. I got to go talk to people. I got to go put myself in the right places. Yeah, but for most people, easier said than done. They're not going to actually do it. Now, there's strength in numbers and all these other things. Like I will, as an example, build a team here for sure. For sure. So somebody who joins me, especially if they're a newer business person, would benefit tremendously working under me, because all that stuff and experience that I've done, you know, and have had, and, you know, the social skills and all that over the last 8-10 years gets, you know, just shoved into their brain. Now it's still going to require a ton of work from them, because when I build a team here, there's not going to be any handouts. You're going to have to earn your fucking position for sure. I'm not going to hold any fucking hands. I don't believe in that shit. So you will be tested. You will be tried. You're going to have a great time if you stick with it and you really want it for yourself, not me, but for yourself. But that's really what that comes down to. I have to want it so bad for me. And I do, which is why I see this as an opportunity. When all the messages I get are, why would you leave California and you built something so big? It's like, dude, I'm not leaving anything. That shit, I built up a fucking monster over there that's still growing and feeding. Now this monster moved and I'm going to grow shit over here. That's the level of thinking. And who I am and what I bring to the table. Again, as I'm speaking, think from your perspective. As you're listening to this, act as if me speaking is you speaking to yourself, because this is what you need to tap into, right? This is what you need to tap into. I don't want you guys to just think this is me talking about me. There's a reason I'm recording this episode, okay? So now this monster is going over there, and dude, this new place has no idea and hasn't seen a monster like me. How far can I take this? Where do I need to go? Who do I need to meet? What doors do I need to open? These are the questions you need to ask. Now, very quickly, your mind will start working for you. But this leads into point number 2, which is you got to start doing things right away. Like I already scheduled my state exam here in Florida. I already passed the courses. So in less than a month of being here, I will already be licensed as a real estate agent. Then I'm going to get a space, an office space. Like very quickly, I'm reconstructing what I had in LA here in Miami, plus $1 million. And if you are starting a new career, as an example, right? Let's use a different example so you can kind of tune into this. Let's say you're wiping the slate clean and like you're changing careers or doing a completely new career, right? Well, take a look foundationally what you were doing in your previous career. How can you emulate that as much as possible stepping into your new career? As far as the activities that you're doing, you know, prioritizing, take the basic concepts, right? Because it's not going to be the same thing that you do, but there's going to be a lot of attributes that you can bring over and use, right? There's going to be a lot of business practices that you can use, a lot of ways of thinking, right? The way you systemize things. There's going to be a lot that you can bring over to you into this new career that you're doing. You just have to look at it from that angle, right? It's all about the different perspective that you take on this particular subject. And when you begin to process these things in this manner and speak to yourself this way and move this way, very quickly, you'll see that any what you perceive to be obstacle or challenge just withers away. Now, this can be deduced into the most micro decision or expanded into the most macro decision. How do you attack the small things in your day that you do? This could be applicable to this. Because if I was to, have a conversation with you and I see that you're very decisive and you do things in your day-to-day life, then if I was to run a movie scene or a simulation where you do what I do, I would probably put some money down and say, well, I think this person's going to do well based on how they are and how they already in what they're doing, how they portray themselves and these qualities that they exhibit of them, right? Just in that arena. Because you've heard the cliche saying, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? Well, this applies to that. Because if back at home, you're killing it, safe to say that if you do up and move, you're probably going to kill it somewhere else. Right? That's where we need to go with this. So we need to be social and get out there. Well, what does that mean too? If you need specific examples, well, if in a certain type of business, you need to meet people, the movers and shakers of that business where you're going. If you have a specific type of clientele that you're going after, where would they be? How could you meet them? Where do they frequent? Where do you need to go? What do they know that you need to know? Right? How can you get into those circles? I did that very well back at home through the car culture and all that stuff. Very easily, I was getting into those circles and talking to people. How? With the shared interest. We all like cars. That's a very easy door to open. We're all going to congregate at the same place, right? And I started doing that even before I had the cars. Then I got the cars, and it was very easy to start talking to them, right? Because now you're included in the group. You're invited to things, right? You become a part of that group by integrating yourself. But that, again, requires effort. I could even buy those cars and never mingle with them, never talk with them, and just leave it in my garage. It wouldn't get me anywhere. This is an active process. Or think of it from another perspective and say, how can I attract that person? Let's say I don't want to go out. I still recommend that you do, but let's up the ante. How can I attract that type of clientele or those type of people? Well, again, what are you going to have to do? Because that answer is going to depend on who you're trying to attract. So very quickly, you take like a mathematical perspective and a formula that you have to derive based on these concepts and information. And it becomes very easy for you to create the action plan and actually do it. So again, stepping back into my example, opportunity of a lifetime, this. And again, from a execution standpoint, not even a personal execution standpoint, but based on what I put on paper and then outside circumstances coming in and manipulating what's going on, it's been not so smooth. But you're not going to see me, get off my train, if that's what you want to call it. I'm still going to do what I have to do, right? Because when things wouldn't pan out before, I'm exhibiting now the same reaction then as I am now. Nothing has changed. Just the outside environment has changed. The person who has transitioned here is the same person who was over there doing their thing. Right? And that's the beauty of this, is when you're starting from scratch or starting over. Again, regardless if you move or you're starting a new career, the person who's now starting over has advanced from the beginning. You're not a newborn baby that just, was given birth to. You're somebody who is already doing something else or have lived somewhere else, accumulated a certain skill set, experiences, wisdom, knowledge, practices, skills in certain careers. That's what you have to come in with. So it would be foolish to think that, hey, if I start over, oh no, I'm starting over and I'm going backwards. No. You're building. You're building. You're in a better position now than you were back then. Much better position. Do you see it and acknowledge it though? Right? That's the main thing. Here's another one, and this is where I think a lot of people, struggle is some sort of sacrifice is going to have to be made, right? And people want to have it all without sacrificing anything. You got to sacrifice, man. If that means, let's say you're moving cities and you got to live in a shithole apartment for a couple months to get your shit together and stack your bread to then buy a property in 6 months, do it. If that means you got to quit the drinking and the bullshitting, right? And not do that 2 or 3 times a week and not do it for a couple months, do it. That's a small sacrifice. That's a small step to take to accelerate this process that much more. Because all you're doing is you're just trimming the excess fat, we can say, from this process. Because when I look at the list, right, or the criteria, we can say that'd be a better term, criteria. When we look at the criteria of this, these are the types of things like sacrifice, discipline, commitment, right? Openness, creativity, boldness, relentlessness, right? Those are those things that are on there. Now, it may not be just that word. It'll be some sort of activity or thing that you have to do to accomplish what it is that you have to accomplish, particularly in these situations like starting something new. And are you exhibiting them on a daily basis? That's the question. But see, all of that stuff is under your control. So me having to sacrifice, not a fucking problem. I am sacrificing, in quotes, if we look at it that way, a lot coming out here. I don't give a shit. Good. I'm happy to fucking do it. I'll willingly do it. I'll sacrifice more. Not a problem. If I have to live out of my fucking car, I'll do it. Sure. Not a problem. I mean, even logistically doing stuff today and, going to Vegas and coming back and all this stuff, there's been a lot of shit out of my control that's happened that I know would throw a lot of people off. And I was just laughing about it today. Like when I got back from Vegas, the battery of my Escalade was dead and I had to call AAA. But then I had to get out of another Airbnb that I'm staying in before I close escrow, right? So I had to call that guy and be like, hey, dude, I'm not going to make it out by the checkout time. I need an hour. And he was trying to tell me no, right? So a lot of things that had to be fixed that I did in stride, not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. But when we go back to this element of sacrificing, right? I mean, look at it from the perspective of time, right? You only have, if we're going to think from that construct of time, you only have 24 hours in a day. And you're choosing to do something in those 24 hours. Let's say you sleep 8, right? You do this, you do that, you play video games, right? So based on a want or a need that you have, this is already at play. You're sacrificing your future, right? Your side hustle for playing 2 hours of video games every night or bullshitting on, YouTube for 2 or 3 hours instead of reading that book that you're supposed to read. You're already sacrificing. You're just not aware of it. So all these concepts aren't like this out of this world shit. You're just not really aware of it because all these things are always happening. But when you take control of them, that's when your life starts to change. So you'll look at something like starting over from scratch or and you'll do this shit willingly with like a kid's type of energy because you know and you understand the game now and how it's supposed to be played. You see? So when people talk about, understanding and breaking away from the matrix and all this other stuff, this is the stuff they're talking about. It's not that crazy mumbo jumbo meme shit. It's this. It's understanding some of these dynamics and now taking them under your control to where the average person could look at starting a new career or moving as, oh my God, I would never do that. And you're like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. No problem. I want to do it repeatedly, actually, because this is cool. And I understand the game. So I know I can beat this. I know I can. The question is, do you? So it's a mentality. It's a way of being, right? A beingness. It's an understanding. It's a dedication. But these tools have to be earned because that criteria that I went over earlier, we're always taking stock. We're always taking stock of it. And right? Your own mechanism knows if you're following these rules or not. And this is why a lot of times certain emotional states will be produced by people, which is why most of the time I am in a very good state, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing mentally, physically, spiritually, right? So I'm checking off all those boxes. It's very easy. You look at certain things like how I respond to things. Check. My personal thoughts and self-talk with me. Check. Very good. Very powerful. On point. My perspective on this whole transition. Check. Very simple stuff, right? So, if you're starting over or a new career, or you're starting from scratch, or you're moving, it's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. Because when you start to think of it differently and do some of these things, it becomes very simple. Very simple. And I urge you to make it a virtue of your beingness as a human being moving forward, that you gain the ability to simplify things. If you can simplify things, your ability to execute will be far easier, far easier. And everything that you do, that's the beauty of it, right? If you can just work on that. And then you even just have to ask yourself in the beginning, like me moving here, okay, how can I simplify getting on my feet and getting going? Very quickly, things come to my mind. Okay, get your license, get the office, do this, do that. Okay, and I'm doing it. It's simple. Because now you're breaking these things down and making them so small that whatever it is that's in front of you, that next decision, that next action item becomes very readily executable. It's just like, okay, I know what to do, because you're feeding your system the right information, the right software to then produce what you want, right? Okay, guys, I'm going to end it here. I'll have my computer and everything set up again, I think, by the next episode, if not the following one. Shout out to Modern Success, my coaching program. If you guys want more mentorship and information that I've never released and never will release anywhere for free, I recommend you get on it, bryancasella.com, or the link in my bio on Instagram. Team BC, right? Shout out to them. We're a nationwide real estate team now. If you're interested in joining, go to jointeambc.com. If you guys want to talk to me about eXp Realty, right? If you're a real estate agent, you want to make the switch, go to partner with Team BC. And other than that, I did announce that event that I'm doing with Brad Lee, Tom Ferry, and all those other guys, right? I forget their names, Neil, right? I shared it on my feed. Make sure you check it out. If you guys want to sign up, I'll pass you the link, and then I'll give you my discount code. The discount code is good for a week. We're going to be doing that in Vegas, July 23rd. I don't know if they're going to do it virtually, maybe only in person, but definitely check it out if you're interested. You guys might know some of those guys. I don't really follow them, but if you do and you like them, then definitely go. All right. That's it for this one, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.